quorum. So I'm going to call tonight's meeting to order. And I'm going to ask Mr. Phillip to do the roll call, please. Is Mr. Phillips able to do the roll call tonight, or should I?
I do not have that right in front of me. If you bear with me.
No problem.
Miss Napal, Billy Joe, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
If you're all right, Miss Napal, Billy Joe, are you comfortable calling roll?
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine with me. Thanks, Miss Billy Joe.
You're welcome. Okay, Kevon Gaynor, Mr. Gaynor. I believe he's absent. Miss Naipaul,
Here.
Mr. Davis.
Here.
Mr. Bass,
Here.
Miss Kulik,
Here.
and Miss Ray.
Here.
Okay, so when Mr. Gaynor's absent, everybody else is present.
Yes.
So, Ms. Napal, do you want to call for the approval of the agenda?
Yes, I will. Let's go ahead and do the approval of the agenda and the approval of the minutes before I hand it over to you to introduce our speaker tonight. Detective Justin White, thank you for joining us. Tonight, are there any corrections or additions to the agenda tonight? Ms. Kulik?
Oh, you want me to make a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Okay. Can I have a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you very much. The motion is now accepted and the motion is carried. Can we have the approval of the minutes? Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
Madam Chair, we need to actually have a roll call vote on that because it's a remote meeting, and I do apologize for everyone. So we had the motion by Ms. Kulik and the second by Mr. Bass.
Mm-hmm.
All those in favor respond by roll call vote. And Ms. Favorette, if you will, please proceed with the roll call vote.
Okay, Miss Naipaul,
Yes.
Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis,
Here.
we are doing roll call vote on the approval of the agenda. Do you agree?
I agree.
Mr. Bass,
Yes, I agree.
Miss Kulik,
Yes, I agree.
and Miss Ray.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. The approval of the minutes is now accepted.
Hey.
Wait a minute. That's the approval of the agenda. Sorry. We're going to move on to the approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
I just have a question. I received both December minutes and January minutes. I assume we're only voting on the January minutes. Was there something left over from the December minutes?
We have to approve the amended December minutes.
Okay, that explains it. Okay. We didn't do that, we didn't do that then?
No. There were
Okay.
changes.
So can
After
I have okay,
Ms.
go ahead.
Naipaul, go ahead, Ms. Naipaul.
Okay,
Give
can I
Ms.
have a
Naipaul
motion
chance.
to accept the amended minutes from our last meeting?
From the December meeting,
Yes,
Yeah.
from the December meeting.
not the last meeting.
Yeah.
And the January 11th minutes as
And the
presented.
January 11th minutes, yeah.
But We got 2 sets of minutes we were sent.
Okay, let me, if I may, let me
We can't
step
approve
in
them
here.
both at the same time, can we?
Yes, you can. Yes, ma'am. You
That's
can.
what we're
Yes,
doing
ma'am.
then? Okay.
Is there a motion to approve the amended minutes of the December 14th, 2021 meeting, as well as the January 11th, 2022 meeting minutes as
Oof.
presented? There's a motion by Ms. Coolick. Is there a second?
I will second it.
Second by Ms. Nightpaw. We will proceed to a roll call vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye when your vote is read. Ms. Red, if you will, please present the roll call.
Okay, Ms. Nightpaw,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Bass,
Yes.
Ms. Coolick,
Yes.
and Ms. Ray.
Yes.
Okay, the approval for tonight's minutes is now carried and accepted. At this time, I want to read our mission statement for the Police Community Relations Committee. And our mission statement is serve as a liaison between the community and the police, to serve as an advocate for programs, ideas, and methods to improve relations between the community and the police, to disseminate information to the community and to the city with regard to the state of relations between the community and the Greenville Police Department, to assist and promote the community education efforts concerning safety awareness and community and individual awareness. So I do not want to delay tonight, and I'm going to ask Sergeant Stafferback to introduce our speaker for tonight, and thank you, Detective White, for joining us and taking time off your busy schedule. And to all of you, thank you for joining in tonight. So Sergeant Stafferback, can you introduce our speaker?
Yeah, so Detective Justin White is going to give y'all a very good informative presentation on gains here locally in Greenville, and any questions you have, please ask them. You know, Justin, with the gang unit, nationally recognized. Justin, how long you been with the gang unit now, Justin?
A little over 3 years. I came on December 1st of 2018.
So 3 years, and probably 3 years with 10 years of experience having to deal with all the problems. With that said, so I'm not going to steal Justin's thunder. Justin, it's yours, brother. I appreciate it.
All right. So first things first, like you said, I've been on the Greenville's gang unit for a little over 3 years now. Kind of had a lot of experience in dealing with gang members. And one thing a lot of people always ask, well, you know, how do you know that someone is a gang member? What can I look for? Most people know, you know, the colors. Bloods wear red, Crips wear blue. Kind of goes a little different, little deeper than that. A lot of the gangs now are, you know, wearing different sports teams paraphernalia, so to speak, different jerseys, different hats. Like our 8 Trey Crips, they like to wear Texas Ranger jerseys simply because the T, or the Texas T, stands for Trey. That's what they kind of use to signify that they're all 8 Trey Crips. Our Rolling 40 Crips will wear Milwaukee Brewers paraphernalia, mainly the old authentic Milwaukee Brewers logo with the glove with the 4 fingers and the circle in the middle. Those are just a few of the things. Mainly what we're looking for, like I said, is the sports teams, and blood gang members will wear their bandanas in their right pocket. And they often refer to themselves as being real right because they orient themselves on their right side. Crip will do it. They will wear their blue bandanas on their left side. Conveniently enough, kind of spinning off of that, a tattoo that both Bloods and Crips have in common that a lot of people don't know is the Rolls Royce logo. It's the simple, you know, R's, the 2 R's stacked on top of each other. When Bloods have it tattooed on them, it stands for real right. our rolling Crips, our rolling 20s, 40s, and 60s will have it tattooed on them for rich rolling. So it kind of carries two different meanings depending on which gang has it tattooed on them. And gangs are really everywhere. And if oftentimes if you're not looking for it, then you're not going to see it. One prime example of this, people have seen it. I saw it, you know, growing up all my life, especially in my school's cafeteria, was the Serena and Venus Williams, the famous professional tennis players. One of the sisters was holding up a C in the poster. Basically, what she was doing, if you don't know, the Williams sisters grew up in Compton, California, and it was obviously a very dangerous place. Well, some of the gang members in Compton, California, noticed their talent, noticed they were on the right path to success, so they kind of provided the Williams sisters with protection while they were growing up so they could focus on tennis. So if you look in that poster and they're throwing up the C, they're paying their respects towards the Compton Crips. And oftentimes, if you're not aware of that, it's going to fly under the radar and nobody's ever going to pick up on it. Conveniently enough, I just recently learned this. Our first gang here in Greenville was a group of white males that was formed, kind of bounced all over the place. It was formed Tucker Estates, stretched out to the Brook Valley over on East 10th Street, and their biggest thing was sex trafficking, handling prostitutes, things like that. However, they have since, you know, gone by the wayside. Our biggest gangs here in Greenville now are our typical Bloods and Crips, but between the Bloods and Crips, they represent at least 11 different subsets of gangs within Greenville, because you don't just have one Crip set. You have your 8 trade Crips, your rolling 20s, rolling 40s, rolling 60s, your Grape Street Crips, so on and so on. Your Bloods, you've got your G-Shine Bloods, your non-trade Bloods, and your GKB, which are your Gangster Killer Bloods. So just between the two, there's more of a breakdown. So when I say there's 11 gangs represented in Greenville, it's not this big ginormous problem. It's just they're all going under the same umbrella. With that being said, most of the time, if there's any sort of violence, any sort of gang violence, the majority of the time it's going to be within the same organization. It's going to be Crip on Crip or Blood on Blood. It very seldom crosses the aisle, so to speak. One other question we're asked a lot of the times is, where do they make their money? Just like anybody else, they try to run their organization like a business, so to speak. So they have their constant money flows. It's going to be your drug sales, your gun sales. Those are pretty much standard ways to make money. Occasionally, if a gang leader or someone with a lot of rank gets arrested and they don't have the money on hand to bond them out at that time, they will then start to, you know, break into vehicles, things like that, just to get money up real quick, just to bond whoever it is out. And that's not saying that every break-in has something to do with gang violence. It's just a trend we will notice from time to time. If we know that a leader or someone with significant rank gets arrested, if there are B&Es around that particular neighborhood or hotspot, then we know it's more likely going to have something to do with that gang trying to get money quick. That's almost their get-rich-quick scheme, basically. And then, of course, the retribution type crimes, the shootings, the stabbings, the assaults, things like that, those come from being owed money somebody doesn't want to pay, or if someone disrespects their fellow gang members, or most importantly, if someone disrespects one of their deceased gang members, that can kind of spur things out of control. And as far as there's no real escalation or de-escalation with the gangs. Is kind of a steady holding pattern. As people get older, they kind of age out. They're just tired. They just don't want to do it anymore. They kind of phase out. But when they kind of phase out, you have the younger generation coming on up, and a lot of that has to do with their access to cell phones, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, things like that. It becomes easier to recruit because not only are they talking to their fellow classmates in school, it's easier to talk to them outside of school via cell phone, social media, things like that. So it, in a sense, aids in the gang recruitment process. And to kind of piggyback off of that, if you would have asked me 6-7 years ago before I become a cop, like, what are the warning signs to a kid, being in a gang? How can you tell they're going to be in a gang before they end up there? I would have told you, gang members come from broken families. They come from, seeking that family structure. However, during my time at the police department, especially my time on the gang unit, I have found that to be false. We do deal with individuals from broken families, but we also deal with individuals from your traditional home, so to speak. Their mom and dad are still in their life, whether the mom and dad are still together in the same roof, or they have a mom and stepdad and a dad and stepmom that are all part of their life. There's no real warning signs based off of their home life if they're going to join a gang or not. And that was something that I had to learn along the way. There's no clear cookie cut answer to determine whether or not someone is going to join a gang or whether they're going to not join a gang and take the right road. Are there any specific questions that anyone needs answered or would like to have answered?
Do you have an estimate of a snapshot, perhaps, of the number of gang members in total in our county? And also, are there any female gangs?
So in our county, I actually mapped it out. If let's see, it's February now. I mapped it out around summertime, and there were 356 validated gang members between Greenville gang unit files and the Pitt County probation and Pitt County or DOC files. There were a total of 356 currently in the city. As far as female specific gangs, there's not a gang just for females. Depending on what they've done, what kind of respect they've earned, they can hold a high ranking position in the gang, but they're not specifically female gangs like there is specific gangs based on racial lines.
Well, how about the schools, the high schools? Is it there more of a concentration in one, or is it kind of across the board?
It's kind of across the board. There's no one bigger concentration in one school versus the other. It's kind of all over the place. And that kind of goes back to the point I made earlier. There's no way to tell. Just because they go to a nice school doesn't mean they're not going to be in the gang, or just because they go to a bad school means they're going to be in a gang. It kind of goes along the lines with who they hang out with and kind of what catches their eye, and that's what determines if they enter the gang life or not.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes I read that a lot of this is across the US, that a lot of gang members have not graduated from high school. And I remember, I think that we had some program going, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, trying to help the schools increase graduation. I guess hopefully so they would, some of them get a regular job. I don't know. But anyway, do most gang members, have they graduated from high school?
To my knowledge, a lot of them have, and a lot of them have your normal job, so to speak, whether they're working at Sanderson Farms, or they're working maintenance, or they're cooks. Some of them even own their own businesses. As the large majority of them have graduated high school, or some of them, depending on if they're young or not, are still currently enrolled in school. And as far as programs, that, to my last knowledge, the 3rd Street School over off West 3rd Street, they had some sort of mentorship program. If they call, at-risk youth, trying to mentor them, get them through school, and things like that.
I was thinking that Devender was doing some program in the past.
And I'm not sure what she has
Okay.
going on. I haven't personally been a part of it, but if she does, then I'm sure.
Well, maybe not currently.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Justin, you touched on it earlier without giving away any trade secrets, but explain validation, how y'all validate somebody as a gang member.
So, and basically there's a few different criteria, and I'll start by saying that if someone's validated, by general statute, the validation is good for 5 years. So if I was to validate someone today, February 8th, 2022, that validation is good until February 8th, 2027. There's a number of criteria. Tattoos, they have the Rolls Royce tattoo. Clothing, the bandanas, the team paraphernalia, things like that. Social media, whether they promote the gang on social media. A confidential, reliable source. This could be a parent saying, yeah, my son's in a gang. This is why I know, this is how I know he's in a gang, things like that. We don't just take the word of everybody that says, hey, John Doe's in a gang. We have to have a reason to believe them when they say it. So you got your tattoos, your clothing, your social media, your confidential, reliable source, your documentation. This is your photographs of them in pictures with other gang members, whether they're all wearing the same clothing, whether they're all throwing up the same sign, things like that. Communication, whether they're communicating with another gang member, whether this is via, if we do a search warrant on their phone and we find it in their phone, or if we get information from the prisons that someone on the outside is communicating with someone on the inside. And there's just a few others, but they're along the same lines. And with that being said, just because we get one criteria on someone, we don't automatically assume that they are a gang member. And the best example of this is when I talk about our neighborhood Crips. I'm talking about our rolling 20s, rolling 40s, and rolling 60s. Our rolling 40s, they wear like that light blue Carolina blue color. And in doing so, they'll wear UNC paraphernalia, the Tar Heel hats, jerseys, things like that. Mainly because the NC on the front of the hat, they use it to signify neighborhood Crip. However, I, along with everyone on the gang unit, completely understand that we live in North Carolina. So there is a great possibility that we're going to encounter legit diehard UNC fans. Like, we get that. So just because we see that one criteria doesn't necessarily mean, oh, he's got the UNC hat on, he's a gang member. General statute requires that 3 criteria are used to validate someone. And that's the reason why they don't want you to just see one criteria and label someone a gang member for the next 5 years of their life. So if someone's validated, they've got at least 3 criteria, and the list goes on. They can self-admit that they're part of a gang, and every once in a while we get that one, but that one's not real common anymore.
Detective White, I want to say thank you for answering our questions. And I have to be very careful in what I say, but I think as a parent, from my experience, it's very, very difficult at times. I think you are the last person as a parent to find out that your kid is in a gang, and it's very difficult. And I have recently experienced that myself.
Mhm.
I will not get into details, but what I have noticed is that from a 4-year-old child, boy or girl, or 5 years old, they tell themselves they are a part of a gang. What is the percentage rate of the kids now between the ages of 5 to 12? Are we seeing actually are in a gang in the city, or a part of the gang, whether they are linked up to friends in school, friends in the neighborhood? Because I have actually seen through photo pictures where these kids have actually really done some bad vandalism to people's property. So I just wanted to know from you, what's the percentage rate that we are seeing right now with the kids actually between those age groups being a part of a gang, or will they further graduate to a higher level, or I don't know.
So as far as the ages between 5 and 12, I don't know an exact number, but I can tell you it's very, 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 very low. And the reason why these young kids will say, "Oh, I'm in a gang," it's because Hollywood, the movies, and the songs,
Yeah.
the songs glorify it. For example, Lil Wayne has a song titled "Mirror," and he sings it with Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars has absolutely zero gang affiliation whatsoever. In the song, Lil Wayne is singing about self-reflection, and that's all the lyrics talk about is self-reflection. You know, he sees the mirror on the wall, he's trying to change what's in the mirror, things like that. However, if you take the time to sit back and watch the music video, you can validate Lil Wayne in a matter of 46 seconds into this music video. He's got the tattoos. He throws up the gang signs. He's flying his red bandana. And I say that because, you know, if you're walking around the house, you're cleaning the house, whatever the case may be, and your kid's listening to this song, but oh, he's listening to a song about self-reflection, like go kid. However, it's not what's being said, it's what they're seeing in the video. And unless you're standing over their shoulder, you don't see that all the time. And that's not necessarily the parent's fault. It's nobody's fault, really. But you take kids, for example, they're in school 7-8 hours out of the day. They come home. If both of their parents are working, you know, once their parents get home from work, the parents have got to cook and clean. So that's another 2.5 hours that they're busy while the kids out playing with the same people they went to school with that may have been trying to recruit them at school. They're now with those kids more. And it's no fault of the parent, because the parent's got to work, the parent's got to cook, got to clean, all those things. So it's nobody's fault. It's just kind of what's being glorified in, you know, social media, music videos, things like that today.
Are there any other questions, Mr. Davis, Mr. Bass?
I have one. I'm neither of those people, so they should go first.
No, I'm fine.
I'm fine,
Okay,
thank you.
what about initiations?
What was that?
Are there initiations?
There are. It's more of what can be done to earn respect. I know when I was in college, you would hear rumors all the time. Oh, don't go downtown this weekend. It's gang initiation weekend. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. That's not really a thing. A lot of the stuff we'll see is there's multiple people in the car. Let's say there's 3 people in the car. There's 2 convicted felons, 1 person with a clean record, and there's a gun in the car. Obviously, the convicted felons don't want to take it because, you know, it's more time for them. So the person with the clean record may take the gun in order to earn their respect. And so that's more so what we see in our dealings. It's not like there's a large rash of crimes occurring in order for them to be entered in the gang. It's more so now based on earning their respect, and occasionally if there's a retribution crime to commit, i.e. like gang on gang, or, you know, a problem has to be dealt with amongst the gang, then this newer up and comer may be the one that's asked to do the shooting or commit the assault or whatever the case may be. But those kind of crimes are generally targeted within the gang, not necessarily against innocent civilians in the public.
Cool. All right, Ms. Napal, anybody else, any more questions for Detective White?
I believe Mr. Gaynor must have joined us somewhere along the line.
Yes, ma'am, I am here.
Okay, do you have any question for our speaker tonight?
No, ma'am, I actually just joined online. I heard the last couple of sentences he said. That's pretty much about what I heard. What questions have been asked so far, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, we have asked questions about the initiation, validation, stuff like that. Do you have a question in mind?
No, I don't have a question in general. I was just saying what question may be asked and not to maybe based off that, but I don't have one in general.
Okay, all right, thank you. Sergeant Stafferback? Is there anything else?
No, ma'am, for, with Justin, I don't believe we have anything else.
Okay.
I was gonna
Okay.
let, if everybody's good with it, I was gonna let him get back to catching bad guys, and then we can all kind of finish up here. So if you're good with that, Miss Napal.
Okay, all right. Well, Detective White, it was an honor and a real pleasure to have you with us tonight. Thank you for your presentation, and you have answered much of our questions, and thank you for your patience and your time, and looking forward to seeing you in the near future. So thanks again for your contribution, and you have a great night.
You do the same.
Thanks, Justin.
Okay, so it's time for us to move on. As we said, thank you to for that presentation tonight. I believe we have our chief. Is our chief still here with us? Chief Holzman, do you have anything to say tonight?
No, I didn't come with any prepared remarks. I appreciate the presentation by Detective White. You probably won't find a more knowledgeable person when it's related to gangs in our area. I've seen some PowerPoint presentations he's put together, and he is representing our community very well and making a big impact out there. So appreciate the work that you're doing there, Justin. Keep it up, and same to your team.
Okay. Well, thank you, Chief Holzman. It's always a pleasure to see you and to speak with you. Thank you very much. Tonight, all the committee members, are there any expressions or question at this time? Ms. Kulik, Ms.
Nope.
Bass, Mr.
No.
Gaynor,
No.
Mr. Davis?
No, not at this time.
Okay. At this time, Sergeant Stafferback, can you tell me what's on the agenda for our March meeting?
Yes, ma'am. So what we're going to do is, I believe you'd expressed interest in this, something to do with teen dating. So I reached out to one of our SVU detectives, and he's going to do a really short presentation next month on just teen dating and just some things just to be aware of, you know, violence against women and so forth. Detective Signs will be doing that presentation. Anything else y'all may be interested in learning that I may be able to find by next month?
Can we probably designate part of that meeting? I don't know if we need a vote on it to actually finish our planning for this year.
You know, and you bring up a really good point. I was looking over the topics, and a lot of the topics are suggestions for PCRC speakers. I thought were really very good topics. But one thing that I really want y'all to do is just go out into your community and ask your members, your community members, what topics are they interested in hearing? Now granted, you know, this is how I think we can build a really good punch list, by talking to the people in the community and just saying, hey, what is your concern? It could be something as simple as street lighting. Well, you know, we may not be directly involved in street lighting, but we do know the resources to reach out. And then that may be just as simple as people don't know what resources to reach out to. So these topics that Miss Napal sent me earlier are awesome topics, and we can definitely go over them. But I definitely want to hear what people in the community have and what's their concern. And that can be very specific, from a small little neighborhood that each of y'all live in, or a larger area that encompasses all the neighborhoods. So please just start making a list of that information, and we can start getting it down. Miss Napal, I know you're a little nervous about the topics coming up each month, but I promise you, we're here to help you. We'll get you over that bump. We're definitely not going to throw you out to the wolves by no means. You know, I'm hoping, I haven't heard, maybe March, April, we can get back in person. And once we get in person, I think that's when we can really nail down those punch lists. And then hypothetically, May, we go to Miss Kulik's neighborhood, June, Miss Napal, and then we just bounce around neighborhoods. So we encompass everybody, Mr. Davis, Mr. Gaynor, everybody that's on PCRC. I really want to go into the neighborhood and talk to the community members. So
can I say something?
yes, ma'am.
If Billy Joe could send out that list, it partly of possible topics is just to get people thinking. Like they read the list and then their mind goes, oh, I would like, or my neighbors would like such and such. It's sort of to get you in the groove. And then I do want to mention, probably May, I want to do a meeting with the canines. And maybe I'm hoping the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints would let us do one outside. And I mentioned it to PJ. So, I mean, I have to get a verification on that, but that, I think May or June would be good.
You know, the weather should be really good, hopefully.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to plan it this last week, would we?
No.
Nobody would come.
No, and that's you know what I can do, Miss Kulik, is I can reach out to Captain Anderson, who's over special operations, which is over the K9 unit, and just put a bug in his ear for May, June. And as we get closer, we as a group, we can coordinate, and hopefully we will be outside somewhere.
Right. I might have a link with them too.
Okay.
I think you do.
Two of them.
A big one, too.
Two. Yep.
Okay, so I agree, Sergeant Stafferback. Actually, that list that I sent you, Ms. Kulik had sent it to me, but I would like, however, to emphasize to each committee member, go out in your neighborhood, just like you said, and talk to the people. And maybe there are topics that can come out of that visit that probably they can address it to you. And we will find speakers to, to give their presentation. That is what I myself started doing, and I did come up with a couple of topics, but I believe that each member contribution is important. So seeing that next month, we're going to be doing teen awareness and all of that. I would leave it up to the rest of the members of the committee to come up with their ideas and meet with the people in their neighborhood. And I'm sure when we all work together, we're going to be just fine. So thank you, Sergeant Stafferback, for all you do. Is there any other question or concern?
Maybe the chief would like to pick a topic for 1 month.
Yeah, Yeah, never at a loss for ideas. Yeah, I can come up with something.
Or it could just be you, chat with the chief.
Yeah, that's easy. Yeah. Open mic night or whatever we call that on this.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back to face.
It will be open mark night.
Yeah, open mic night. I like it.
I like that.
Yeah, I promise to answer most of the questions. So.
We want to say thank you, Chief. You are very knowledgeable, at least for the time that I have spent chatting with you. Wealth of information you have that we can share with the committee members, as well as they can go back and share with their neighborhoods as well too. So thank you for what you do. Thank you, Sergeant Stafferback, Mr. Phillips, and Ms. Billy Joe for your support, and thanks to all the committee members. Are there any other questions before we adjourn? Is there anything that we need to address?
Just one little thing. I heard a little rumor that Sergeant Stoffelbach might be retiring. Is there anything to that?
Well, yeah, there's a lot to it, honestly. I'm projected to retire out April 1st. I'm just waiting for the final paperwork from the state. But yes, that is.
Well, I didn't want to miss the opportunity to thank you for your
I appreciate
service
that.
and
Thank
for your
you.
help to this committee. And you will be missed. I hope you have something wonderful planned for the rest of your life.
I want to travel. So
Well, you've earned it.
thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. Naipaul?
Yes, it seems like every time I get to know someone, I'm not too happy. I think I told you that in an email. I'm very sad about that, but I know that life goes on and there are things that you have to do for yourself as well as your family. So while you are here, I want you to know that I appreciate you very much. And thank you for your wealth of information, your hard work, your time, your patience with us. And thanks for everything you do. You, Ms. Billy Joe, and Mr. Phillips, who keeps me in check. So thank you, Mr. Phillips, for your contribution too. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Ms.
Likewise.
Naipaul. Thank you. Thank you very much.
There are no other questions or concern. We are a little bit early, but I would like to have a motion tonight to adjourn our meeting.
I so move.
Okay. Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, can we have, as Mr. Phillips said, a roll call vote? Ms. Billy Joe?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Ms. Naipaul,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Bass. I think maybe he had to leave the meeting.
Yeah, I believe so, Billy Joe.
Ms. Coolick
Yes.
and Ms. Ray.
Yes.
And Mr. Gaynor.
Thank you, Donna.
Sorry,
Mr. Gaynor.
I'm sorry, Ms. Favre.
No. Thank you for keeping me straight. Mr. Gaynor?
Yes. I was late, so that's probably why you didn't call me. I understand.
No, I'm sorry. I go over the list to make sure I don't miss anyone, so I apologize.
Oh no, you're fine. I understand.
And
Okay.
I'm sure I speak for the chief and Sergeant Staffelbach and Ms. Favorette from city staff's perspective. We really appreciate what you do. Your volunteers, you're taking your time to act as the liaisons between the police department and the community, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you. So if there is nothing else, our motion is passed and we are now adjourned. So thank you all for being here tonight, and looking forward to seeing you guys next month.
And you did a great job.
Thank you, Ms. Kulik. Thanks for your support.
Good job.
Good job. Good job. Take
You're
care.
out early. That's incredible.
Yes, Sergeant Stafferback, are you still there?